Let's give the listeners some tips around selling.
It's really simple. Show people two paths. Show them a path with your solution, but you show that second. And the first path is you show them what the future likes without your solution.
Adam Stott, an award-winning entrepreneur who helps business owners grow.
The business that I have now is a business training company, just under $25 million a year in terms of sales.
In terms of being consistent with that discipline, what would you say to them to help them stay the long term?
Don't win business through feelings. So we all feel like crap. A lot of the time we all feel like we don't want to do things. You know, it's like going to the gym. Sometimes we're right on it and sometimes we're a little bit off it. Look, there's three critical resources that people need to succeed. People need time, money, and then number two is you can be the best marketer in the world. If you can't close the leads that you generate, then you're not going to succeed either. If someone's sitting there and they've been a teacher and they want to quit their job, or been sitting on the fence and they're not taking enough action, like you said, they're not making the videos, I'd be saying to that person,
Adam, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure. Looking forward to it.
I am. I feel like I've seen bits of you over the years on ads telling me about events happening in Leeds and stuff, but we've never actually connected. So I'm really excited to just learn genuinely about you.
Yeah.
I know you have your book, Millionaire Success Secrets.
Certainly do, yeah.
Let's start there. Being a millionaire, how old were you when you made your first million?
So I was about 30 when, it depends on what stage you look at, whether you're talking about asset million or cash million. But I was about 30 when I, was cash £1 million in the bank. That's kind of about that age. And I did that through my first business, which was a automotive business. So I started off I started actually in a finance business, which morphed into an automotive business. I started that at 25. Within 5 years, I got that to a really good place, but lots of ups and downs along the way, lots of struggles and stuff like that,
Was it always a goal? Were you always money driven?
Yeah, actually it was always a goal. I think that when I was a lot younger, I think there was a circumstance actually that happened that created a lot of drive for me when I was a younger person. I had a situation where we grew up actually with a bit of money. We went to private school, we had a nice house, and bang, my dad lost absolutely everything.
Wow.
And we went from having a really nice house to actually living at the back of a transport cafe and being in a situation where we got pulled out of our schools, put into, standard school, which was great, not a problem. But it was just a bit of a shock. I think I had that shock about 10 years old. And the thing is, I still had all my friends that from private school, and I used to at the weekends go around to beautiful houses, beautiful places, see all these different things. I'd be like, why don't we have that? And I think that kind of stirred up a little bit of a desire. Obviously, you can have the desire, but if you don't know how to do it, that's obviously a frustrating time. And I think that there was a lot of frustration for me, knowing what I wanted, but not actually knowing how to close the gap and how I was going to sort of go on that journey,
So what was that journey like? What were the steps for you to get in there?
Well, I think the steps, the first part of that, the first step was actually just living in frustration and actually being in a situation where I wanted more for myself. As a teenager, I didn't get on well in school. I got one GCSE, which was a B in drama. So I got no other GCSEs. I was told by everyone, Adam, you're thick, you're not going to do anything, you're never going to be anything, all of that. And I think it was just a little bit lost in the beginning in terms of how am I going to achieve anything. Still some drive and desire, but actually probably some low sort of self-esteem in terms of what I was actually able to accomplish. And something happened to me when I left school, as I worked in a bunch of jobs that were very menial, that I hated. I hated school, I hated work, I hated everything. And then I got a job in sales. And for the first time ever, things just clicked. And I realised that actually, I like this. Do you know what? I think I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that sort of esteem came back. And I was like, I really enjoy doing this. And I really enjoy talking to people and getting along with people. And for the first time ever, I felt in control. Control of what I was able to do, what I was able to create, and now I was in control of my own destiny, i.e. if I sold more, I made more. If I made more, I could achieve the things. But I think for the first time ever, I felt like I had a sense of control in my life, and that was really powerful for me and really made a huge, huge difference. And from there I went on and I pursued a sales career. I started off in electrical, earning next to no money at all for selling TVs, washing machines, toasters, cookers, all that kind of stuff, earning no money, but just fighting it out, you know. And then from there, I thought, well, I need to sell something bigger, something that's going to make more money. So I went into cars. I got a job at Ford when I was 19, and I was disorganised, ill-disciplined, lack of focus, all over the place. But they believed in me there, and they felt that I could do something. And the people that I work with, I've got some good mentors, and they helped me to get better and to get my focus back and to get my discipline. And fast forward 3.5 years, I've sort of risen to the top of the Ford network in terms of sales, and done really well. And that led to me being very ambitious and wanting more. So I actually quit that job at Ford. I went over and worked for a company called AMZair, which is a bit of a curveball in my career, leasing private jets. The reason I went there is because that was Alan Sugar's company. So I wanted to...
it was a strategic
Yeah.
move.
So I was like, I want to go and actually see what a millionaire does. And I did get to see him, but I never really got to have any dialogues or anything else like that. I worked for his son, actually, Daniel Sugar, who was a great guy. I then moved on to BMW and did some great things there, had a brilliant career. And in age 25... I started going to some Tony Robbins events back in the day, around that sort of time, and it really motivated me. And I got super driven, like, I can do more here. I can do more than just work for somebody else. But at the time I was at BMW, I was crushing it. I was earning 120 grand a year. I had a brand new BMW, 23, 24 years old, doing really well.
A lot of people think like you've made it.
Yeah. But I still felt dissatisfied. I just had a hunger and a drive and a desire to do more.
Where do you think that came from? Was that the 10-year-old still, maybe?
Yeah, I just think that I do believe very much in exposure and vision. I think a lot of people, you can only rise to the level of which you've seen.
Yeah.
And you can't rise to a level that you haven't seen. So one of the critical elements of success is actually getting in the right environments, because if you get into an environment where you start hanging out with people that are doing 100 million, 100 million don't seem impossible no more. You get an environment where you've got people that are billionaires, $1 billion doesn't seem impossible anymore. You know, and when you're earning 20 grand a year, you want to be hanging out with people doing 100 grand a year, so that don't seem impossible. But it's all about getting in that environment and stretching yourselves.
What would be your advice if someone hears that, but they're like, but how do I get... Because I think a lot of people will think, well, I need to pay thousands to get a mentor, or, you know, to get into those rooms. Like, for example, there's masterminds, right? But you need to be a multi-7-figure earner to get around the other multi-7-figure earners. What would be your advice to someone who feels like they're starting out with not a lot of resources, not a lot of money, they don't have the network, they hear you say you need to get in these environments? How would you suggest they get there?
Well, I think the first thing is that as you level up, the mentors and the people that you're around level up as well. Like, my first mentors were my sales manager at Ford, who taught me discipline and focus. Right, that was the first mentor I had, and I wrote about him in my book, Michael, and he was strict and he was tough. And if I was 2 minutes late, he sent me home. I drove an hour and a half to get there. If I was 2 minutes late, he's like, "Get out of here, go home."
Did that happen?
Yeah, seriously, yeah. If I turned up and I hadn't shaved, he'd send me home.
Really?
I'm talking about, yeah.
So that was like proper old school discipline.
But I was totally ill-disciplined and a lack of focus. And most people that are unsuccessful, and even what you said there is kind of, which I definitely have heard a lot of people say that kind of thing before. It's like, where's the ownership? The ownership is, first of all, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Who is somebody that's doing 50% better than you? Let's start there. So if you, like for me, I wanted to talk to the top salesperson in Ford because he was beating me. So I need to go and find out what he's doing. And that isn't, I need to go and sit next to a millionaire tomorrow, because he wasn't a millionaire, but he helped me on that next step of the journey, right?
But even like when you said about getting to Alan Sugar's company, you were intentional about this and strategic in going, how do I get to these people? And I guess what I'm hearing you say as well is it's a process, right?
100%.
And you just build on it.
100%. I think that desire to be successful in people certainly was in me, and it's probably in a lot of the people that are listening. But then there's just a gigantic amount of frustration and patience People just don't have any patience at all, because especially with Instagram lifestyle now, you know, everyone, YouTube, whatever it is, it's like you can be a gazillionaire in 25 minutes. You know, it just ain't like that. I've seen it in younger people, like my nephew's a great lad, but I've seen him, he's like, well, I want to be a millionaire. Well, listen, you need to earn 50 grand a year before you earn £1 million a year. And right now you earn more than 25 grand a year. So let's focus on doubling.
But that's
up
not exciting
first.
for people, is it?
It's not, but that's the game. And
so how do you get them
success
to kind of mentally be okay with being patient when so many people aren't? And a lot of people are not patient because they feel trapped or they feel desperate, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you've got to be a progressionist rather than a dreamer or a perfectionist. So perfectionist, I'm trying to get it right, You're not going to get it right. It's not going to be perfect, so let's get on with it. A dreamer is, I want to be a millionaire in 5 minutes, and it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's just be a progressionist. Are you better than you were 3 months ago? Are you better than you were 6 months ago? And if you are, then you're going to continue growing. I always feel like you're either growing or you're dying, you're moving towards what you want, you're moving away from what you want. And if you are moving towards what you want and you're growing, then you're on the right trajectory, you're on the right path. Let's not worry about where you're going to be in the next 3 months. Let's worry about where you're going to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I go with what I call zero-based thinking. So one of the things that's been a useful concept for me is every single year I start from zero. Don't matter what's just happened. Don't matter what I've done before.
I like that.
Yeah, it's zero-based thinking. I start at the beginning. What do I want for the next 12 months of my life? What do I want personally? What do I want from a business perspective? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to create? And I get utterly focused on that next 12 months because that's within my control. And I'm like, okay, now we're going to plan it out. Use OKRs, objective key results, which is what's my objective in this first quarter, what's my objective in the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, what are the key results I need to do every week, every day in order to achieve my objectives. And I get really, and again, that's that discipline coming back. And if people operate with discipline, you tend to get better results. So I think that back in the day, getting that help around discipline and focus definitely has helped me in my career. And yeah, for sure.
I like what you're saying there about being a progressionist, and what I'm hearing is like regular self-reflection, regular little goals to be aiming for along the way, because I think a lot of people will be in a position that maybe are listening right now where they do have those big goals, but they're also feeling they're being pulled in lots of different ways. So it might be that they're building a business alongside having a full-time job. It might be that they're a parent, or, you know, they have all these other responsibilities and priorities. And a lot of what the mentors they hear speaking about online is just saying, have these big goals and go all in, burn the boats and all this kind of thing. And for a lot of people, they just don't feel that that's practical and it's going to work for them. But then I think the problem that they have is they then start feeling overwhelmed, and life happens. There might be something with the children or whatever, you know, they're juggling all these things. So even these small goals along the way, they then feel they're not achieving them. In terms of being consistent with that discipline long term and that patience, what would you say to them to help them stay the long term?
Well, I think that you said the word feel 7 or 8 times, and that is what people do, is they feel and they run off emotion and they don't run off of logic. You don't win business through feelings. You win it through being strategic, being logical, being disciplined and being focused. So we all feel like crap a lot of the time. We all feel unmotivated. We all feel like we don't want to do things, and we all feel like that, and we all feel that, you know, and I do understand that. But I think that what we need to do is we need to get really, really focused. Focus is critical, isn't it? You know, and I'll reflect a little bit here that at 25, I started my first business. And that first business I started, I had 9 months, which were utter hell. I sold my house. I went all in. I burned the boats. I just did exactly what you said.
Really?
Yeah. And I put that 50K in, which was the only money I had in the world. And I watched that £50,000 evaporate over a period of the first 9 months, not getting any customers, not doing a good job. And I felt very bad. And I beat myself up, right? And I got into that position where I was just like, oh my God. You know, that was the first 9 months of business for me. And the problem is actually that the gigantic goals that I had, I didn't know how to roadmap to get to that goal. It's only when I started looking at, okay, right, what do I need to do from a step-by-step perspective to get out of this place to get to a good place? And if I was starting that again, that was the first business. Now, fast forward 9 years later, that business I got to 40 million a year in revenue, multi-millions in profit. Wow. 5 years later, it was doing 6.3 million a year, which is where I made my first £1 million in profit, net profit, across the year, which is the answer to the question you mentioned yesterday. And that was one of the 3 businesses that I've took through 8 figures. But if I went all the way back to the beginning and I looked at that first 9 months, the first thing that if I were doing that now and I was someone sitting there that was listening, that's got kids, that's got a job, that's stressed out, that's got loads of stuff going on, I would be like, right, your objective right now is to create an offer for a specific person. So you say steps, right? What's your offer? Who's the person that's going to buy it? Okay. Where are we going to find them? And, how are we going to influence them? What's going to be a message that really talks to them and gets them focused? And how many people do I need to speak to get people to say yes? And I would look at doing those, 4 or 5 things, taking that offer to market and selling 5 people a month. And my goal would be, how do I get 5 clients? My first goal would be, how do I replace my income?
Yeah.
And if I can replace my income, I don't need to burn the boats. I don't need to sell my house, put 50 grand in and watch it disappear. What I need to do is I need to start selling.
So going back, literally you wouldn't have done the burn the boats thing?
I probably wouldn't, because I again, look, there's 3 critical resources that people need to succeed. And this is where we boil it down and get really logical. People need time, money, and skills. They're the 3 things they need. Now, if you look at whoever is listening right now and wherever they are in their business and wherever they are in their life, they have a finite amount of money, time, and skills. The skills that will make them money, so this is the game really, is to use your capital, which is the money, to buy back your time and to buy skills so you can make more money.
Got it.
Right? That's the way that we operate, right? Now, the person that's listening, if they were to say, okay, in terms of the amount of money they have, do they have the skills currently to go and make more money? So the skills that you need to succeed. So if we zone in on that, we need to be able to market, to be able to go and get awareness, and to be able to go and have meaningful conversations that get people to come talk to us. So we'll go and market. Now, if the person listening was to score themselves on a scale of 1 to 10, how effective are they at marketing? How good are they at marketing? Because if they're a 1 out of 10 at marketing, if they're afraid of marketing, if they're afraid of getting the message out there, if they don't want their face out there, they don't want to hear bad comments, they don't want to run an ad campaign, they constantly say that they hate technology and they don't want to do these things, well, then the first thing they need to do...
Been around these people.
I know the game, right? Okay, so the first thing they need to do is they need to upskill.
Yeah.
That they have to, because you are not going to run a successful business unless you understand how to market, right? Number 1.
So invest your time and your money into becoming better at the skill of marketing, right?
Number 1. And then number 2 is you can be the best marketer in the world. If you can't close the leads that you generate, then you're not going to succeed either.
Right.
So we need to be able to market and we need to be able to sell. If someone wants to start a business, marketing and sales are the 2 essential elements that will allow someone to make money. And if they don't build those skills, they're going to struggle. So my first advice would be, get good marketing, get good at sales, and then eventually get good at creating offers as well, because then you can go and have conversations, close conversations, make sales, and start to drive your business. So I would focus on skills, number 1. Number 2, I'd look at time allocation, which is the 3 critical resources. And I would start to look at, if I was working 5 days a week and I've got my kids and I've got all this stuff going on, I'd be like, right, what day am I going to have total discipline and carve out so I can literally go and give this the time? I always say to people that when they come to our events, I know you do events as well, right? It's like building a business like a baby. And your business baby, you're very emotional about it at first, which is the feelings part, and we love it and we want it to do great. And the problem is that if you want a baby to grow up in real life, you need to feed it. And your business baby, you need to feed it too. The problem is with your business baby is it eats two things. It eats cash and it eats time.
A lot of that.
It drinks time, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't give it any time, it's like not giving your baby any milk. And if you don't give any cash, it's like not giving your baby any food.
Right.
So you want it to grow up. You want it to walk, talk, be on its own 2 feet and go and create results. And we've got to feed the baby. And that's essentially, so if somebody is in a situation that they haven't got the skills, that's where you start. And then number 2, if they haven't got the time, that's where we've got to create the discipline to free up the time. And straight away, we haven't talked about the capital yet, because essentially there's 3 resources and these 2 are really important first. Now, should they pay to get upskilled in marketing and sales? Yes. If they want to build a business, yes, you should pay that. And yes, you should do what you can to find the right training, to find the right help and find the right support. And there's levels, right? And this is what a lot of people is. A book costs you 20 quid or 10 quid. A world-class sales coach might cost you 30 grand. You don't necessarily need the 30 grand sales coach to start.
Yeah.
What you need is the discipline and the focus to start, right?
This episode is sponsored by Dr. Tania King-Mohammad. She is the high-ticket woman, the #1 best-selling author of the high-ticket method, and one of the most sought-after high-ticket experts in the game. Basically, if you are an entrepreneur who is serious about scaling their business, you need to grab a copy of her book right now. Literally, I have read it and it is a game changer. It will blow your flipping mind. Tania is the mentor that the entrepreneurs call once they are finished playing small and are ready to start charging their worth. Working with Tania is all about creating consistent high-ticket sales and doing it in a way where you can create a freedom level income without the constant hustle and grind like a lot of the other mentors bang on about. If you're listening to this show, you already know you're somebody that's meant for more and is willing to go and work for it. So basically, you need to get into Tania's world. Go and grab a copy of her book right now on Amazon and make sure you give her a cheeky little follow on Instagram. She is at Freedom with Tania and she's consistently giving strategies, tips and advice over there for free so you can start charging your worth and actually starting to believe in it. There's a lot I want to hone in on because first and foremost, there's a lot of alignment with what I speak about, which is we need to learn to put action on a pedestal less than emotion. And I think that speaks well to what you're saying is we put our emotion on such a pedestal, like it's so important. Well, I feel tired and I feel demotivated. So then that leads and guides the day instead of going, all right, I feel that way, but what's the action I need to take irrespective? And I think that's what you're saying there about learning that skill set to have the discipline to focus on action over emotion.
I'll tell you one feeling that I would like to give them, which I think for anyone that's listening, is feel excited.
Right. Actually enjoy the journey of learning.
Feel excited because, it's exciting. You're growing. I think if somebody just gets focused on themselves as an individual and says, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I better than I was a month ago? And almost detach.
So get those metrics there. That's what you're saying. Look at what metrics you're actually valuing and just enjoy those little wins. There's something I've noticed a lot with people when they are starting in business with a job at the same time is they will have the discipline to go to work. So whether they feel hungover, tired, whatever, they're there, they're on time, they don't want to let their boss down. But when it comes to them being the boss, they'll let them down. If that desire isn't there, that's when the feelings start being put on a pedestal. Well, I'm tired, I've worked hard all week, or I've done this with the kids. But when it comes to the business, it's exactly what you're saying. It needs feeding. You've got to put in that discipline. You've got to do what is needed to be done. And I say to people, show up for your business at least how you show up for somebody else's. Like at least still show up on those days you don't want to and do something. Yeah. Like when we talk about personal branding, showing up on social media, people go, I can't go live because my energy's off, my aura's off. I can't, I don't. And it's like, well, if it was your job, you'd do it. You'd show up. But then there's the other side of it. And I'm interested in your thoughts when we turn to the subject of like mental health and the cost of pursuing these bigger goals.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that side?
My first thought, I totally agree with what you just said first of all. On this mental health subject, not everybody should actually be a business owner.
Right.
That's my first thought. Is you do have to have, you have to be a little bit crazy. You have to be a little bit, and that's the reality. No,
I really agree.
But what that doesn't mean, and this is the thing, I believe that everybody, and some of the type of person that you just described who might well be listening, I don't feel that they should be alienated from learning business, because I think it's absolutely, you should learn business and you should understand it, because if you are employed by someone else, then I think it's a great thing for you to be able to learn branding, sales, marketing, because you can add value to somebody else's business. Now, I have employees in my business that are employed by me that earn £350,000, £400,000 a year. Now, the reason they earn £350,000, £400,000 a year at the top scale is because they study and are world-class at business, but they don't want the stress, the pressure, the cash flow, all of the things that come with the business. They just want to be strategic and great. And we're talking about, C-suite leaders and people in a business that create amazing things. They're great entrepreneurs rather than entrepreneurs. So if somebody listening finds pressure and stress, so basically, I would imagine, being that you do what you do, is that stress motivates you rather than demotivates you. So if you're under it, I know what I'm like. If I'm stressed or I'm under pressure, I perform, and I perform better, because that's how I'm wired. And I think that's how a business owner is wired. But if you are not wired like that way, and you shut down under pressure and stress, and you don't have that mentality, I would say learn the skills, take the pressure out of it, and just focus on improving you as a person, improving your business skills, rather than you having to be under this immense amount of pressure. Because the reality is, let's say somebody, we talked about who are the types of people that might listen, and because I'm always interested in who the listener is, and you said, well, we might have somebody that is a coach, for example, or someone in that vein, or somebody that's been a teacher that's becoming a coach, or all these different types of people. Why can they not become world-class at marketing and sales and then add value? Because you get paid in proportion to the value you bring to the market. So, for example, if someone who becomes great at sales, great at marketing, great at branding, and they bring that to a great employer, then they're going to get a great return on their skills. So they're going to be able to get paid more because of the value they add to that business. And they deserve more. And they'll be worth more on the open market. So I just believe in personal development as well. I don't have this belief that everybody has to be a business owner. I do believe everyone can become a business owner. And I do believe that everybody... Yeah, I do. Yeah, I believe that everybody can, because...
It's whether they want to live that life, right?
Will that, it's like everyone, to a degree, can play tennis.
Yeah.
Not everyone does play tennis, right? Do you know what I mean? To a degree, unless there's a disability or a mental incapacity of some type of thing that stops someone being able to think in that way, then of course everybody can. Most of the population can.
I think this speaks perfectly to why I started this podcast, because it's like the standard skills to get a job, we're all exposed to being taught them from a young age in the traditional sort of schooling system. But actually learning sales, marketing, self-development, all these kind of stuff that we're speaking about, that isn't one of your main subjects, is it, when you're growing up? And I think because of that, a lot of people just immediately dismiss themselves as, well, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not a business person, because they see it as being, Alan Sugar on TV or whatever. They don't identify as being that kind of person. So I love that what you're saying is that you do believe everybody could do it. And irrespective of whether they want to be, they should learn the skill sets.
100%. I just believe in being a student, full stop.
Yeah.
I'm always learning. I'm always investing in myself. I'm always looking to learn off of people, and I'm always looking to learn in the areas that, look, whatever you want to do, somebody knows how to do it. And if you're able to go and learn from them and absorb that knowledge, you'll be able to do it too, as long as you follow through with the same execution. So I'm a big believer in being a student. I think if you're a student of business, then you have to recognise that this is what I don't like. I'll tell you what I don't like now. So we'll flip it either way. Ambiguous types of, and we almost had the conversation before we even started, it was like, if you're ambiguous and everything and nothing is clear, nothing is said with clarity, then it becomes very and sort of like nonsense type advice. people can't, what you can do is you can motivate somebody in the wrong way. So you like the burn the boats thing, right?
Right.
So, go and burn the boats, go and do this, go and do that. And somebody does all that and have no skill.
Right.
And they can't market, sell, and then they've burned the boats. They've got nothing else going on. They're like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
Right. So I think that when you listen to generic advice, that actually you need to really look at what are the practicalities.
Yeah.
So if you are burning the boats, is there another boat that we're going to go and get into that's bigger, that's a better vehicle, that's going to create some great results? And have we built it?
Yeah.
Have we started building
Yeah.
it? So we're moving towards it. So that's why I always look at, and I think the skill side of it, if it's about business, then the business skills are simple. Really, there's four essential core that we train people on. These are the skills: branding, marketing, sales, operations. If you understand how to position yourself and to build a brand that speaks a message and gives a good perception of you and attracts clients, and you do that in an effective way, that will give you a strong advantage. If you understand how to have a meaningful conversation with the marketplace, you will get more leads. If you understand how to convert those leads, you will then start to create sales, which is going to make you money. Your operation is to deliver the product or service in a sustainable way and to measure the numbers in a way that you understand the intelligence of your activities. So the numbers, people get weird about numbers as well. Like, oh, I don't know the numbers, oh my God, the numbers. But the reality is about the numbers is a summary of your activities. So we need to understand to read our activities, and then we need to say, okay, right, because all it's going to tell you is you didn't sell enough, you didn't market enough, you're not getting the right type of clients into your business, and it tells you what you're doing wrong. That's why we need to know those.
So your background was sales.
Yeah.
So let's go into sales then.
Yeah.
Let's give the listeners some tips around selling, because I think, from my experience, you kind of get one of two types of people that love sales. And I think the majority is people that hate it. And they say things like sales feels icky or weird or sleazy or things like that. So let's speak to those people. How can you help them think about sales differently, approach sales differently, so they don't feel it's icky or sleazy?
I think the sort of standard response is that you have to sell yourself first, and you have to sell yourself on the concept of your offer. Like, you need to believe in what you do so much that you think people crazy not to do it.
Yes.
And that's like the easy, bang, do that. Now, a lot of people don't do that. But you're not sold on your offer, you ain't selling nobody else on your offer. So that's super important. But I think that there is a different way to look at this, and something that I was talking to my sales team. So the business that I have now is a business training company. We one of, if not the biggest business training company in the UK. We run events in every different city, 30 plus events a month. We've got, 60, 70 staff within the business. We do, just under $25 million a year in terms of sales. So it's a big business. And, we've been running that for 9 years now. And I love it. And I was speaking to a lot of the sales team, and I was answering a question like this. And I said to the sales team, it's really simple. Show people two paths. Show them a path with your solution, but you show that second. And the first path is you show them what the future likes without your solution. So you've got to look at future pacing. So you've got to say to someone, okay, look, this is where you're at right now. And if you continue going in this direction, what's going to happen? What's going to change? If you don't do anything about this, where will you be in 3 months? Where will you be in 6 months? What's it going to look like in 9 months? What are you going to be like in a year? And let's talk to the person that you almost described to me. If someone's sitting there and they've been a teacher and they want to quit their job, or they've been in a profession, let's make that a bit broader. Yeah. They've been in a profession and they're about to quit their job to go and be a coach, or they have, and they've been sitting on the fence and they're not taking enough action. Like you said, they're not making the videos, they're not marketing themselves, they're not selling, they're afraid. I'd be saying to that person, okay, if you continue as you are in the next 3 months, tell me what the future looks like. And they'll be like, well, I'll run out of cash and I won't have any money, and I'm probably then going to have to look for another job, or I'm going to have to go back contracting or whatever. Okay. And now I would ask, how would you feel about that? And then I would link it to the emotion, and they would say, oh, I'd feel awful. I'd feel like I'd wasted my time. I feel like I'd feel silly. What would you say to yourself? I'd say, what an idiot am I? Okay. And then, okay, great. So that's where you're going to be in 3 months. And then what happens? What happens 3 months after that? Go, well, I've got a job now and I'm back in it, and, you know, I'm just getting back into the day-to-day. And how do you feel about that? Well, I hated it. That's why I quit. But I feel stuck. Okay, fast forward a year. Where are you at now? Well, a year later, I'm in a position where I'm just like doing the job, hate my work, trying to leave as quick as I can to just get back, and, you know, just doing it for the sake of it. Don't love it anymore. Now, how do you feel about that future? Because that's the trajectory, that's the path you're going down. And then they will tell you that that is not what I want. Okay, so let's look at another path. And the other path is you take action today. You start marketing today. We spend a day in frustration creating the ad that you've been putting off for the past 4 months. But we burn through it. We just do it. We launch. The ad's terrible. You find that the copywriting sucks. The creative sucks. It looks awful. You put it out there, you cringe. Someone you know says, I saw your ad, you cringe. But in 3 days' time, you launch another ad because now you've been through the process, and this one's a bit better. And in a week's time, you launch another ad. And after that, in 1 week's time, you've got 2 or 3 leads that come in. And those 2 or 3 leads are interested in your product or service. And the following week, you've got 7 leads. And of those 7 leads, 2 of them get onto a discovery call with you. And from those 2, you get your first client. They pay you more on that day than you usually earn in a month in your teaching job. How would that feel? Well, that'd feel amazing. Okay, now you know the process, you know the ads, you know the call, you know what to say. Now you do that every single week, but you get a client a week now. How does that feel? So now you're earning £3,000 a week, £12,000 a month, 4 times what you earn in your teaching job. What are you saying to yourself now? I'm like, oh, so which path do you want?
Yeah. It's a no-brainer now.
Right. So, like, literally, sales is showing people 2 different futures. This is one way that we're going to go. This is the other way we're going to go. And what you're going to see is that people are going to want to go down the path that they feel better about.
So in order to do that, the person that is having that call needs to fully believe in what they're going to deliver, right?
Oh, 100%.
So what I think happens a lot of the time is people don't like their job. So they then see somebody online talking about start an online business, create your own company, I'll teach you. They do the course or whatever it is. They start their own business, but they feel complete imposter syndrome. They feel like, can I really run a business? Can I even get results? I've not had a client yet. How do you help them?
I love that question. I think it's a really good question to follow up with. I think that whatever you choose to do, you should be utterly obsessed with doing it to an expert level. That is a prerequisite. I just think don't do anything unless you're going to do it great. So the thing you choose to do, you choose one thing. This is the other thing that we see all the time. People choose 5 things. I had a girl say yesterday, got 75 business owners in my office today, and there's an event that we're running in our office, and we as I said, we run events every day. And girl comes up to me. Question, she's a lovely girl, you know, clearly wants to do well. She comes up to me. And really friendly, really smiley, young girl, blonde, in her glasses, comes up to me, big smile on her face, said, Adam, I just have one question. I just need you to ask the one question. I said, okay, what's the question? She said, is it a bad idea to start 3 businesses at once? And I just said, well, you know the answer to that question, don't you? And she goes, oh, yeah, it's a bad idea. I said, yeah. I said, so what are you doing? She said, well, I'm starting 3 businesses at once. I said, well, look. It's hard enough to get one going, right?
Yeah.
Pulling yourself in 3 different directions. I said, you've got to choose the one. She said, how do I choose the one, Adam? And I said, it's very simple. I said to her, tell me the 3 businesses. So she said to me, I've got a coaching business, I've got an e-commerce business, and I've got a property rent-to-rent business. 3 common type of vehicles, right, that people look at. And I said to her, okay, tell me, out of 10, what is your skill set in the coaching area that you're looking at? Okay, what is your skill set in the rent-to-rent area that you're looking at? What is the skill set in the other one? And she told me, okay, I said, right, now tell me, out of 10, what is your passion of those 3 different things? I was like, okay, this one's a 10, this one's an 8, this one's a 6. And it just becomes very clear. And I'm like, okay, and tell me what is the opportunity to earn money in these out of 10. And then tell me, you know, which one you're most excited about out of 10. And it's just clearly, just do the coaching one, because that's what you want to do. It's like 10, 10, 10. And what you're trying to do is hedge. You're trying to hedge the fact that, well, what if this doesn't work? I feel so gutted. Yeah. So therefore I'm going to do a bit of this, I'm going to do a bit of this, I'm going to do a bit of that. But the reality is every time you split your focus, you split the result.
Yep.
So we've got to choose this one. That is one thing. I will say that's one thing that I feel has been really pivotal for me. I had a car automotive business for 9 years. I didn't do anything else. I got offered every property deal under the sun. I got offered everything you do. I never did anything else.
You're just laser focused.
I just absolutely focused on that. And the year that I came out of that, I started a coaching business a year before. The year I came out of that and I split my focus, it easily cost me £1.5 million in what I lost for changing my focus. Because changing your focus is a terrible thing.
It comes back to that patience again as well. You've got to stick with it long enough to start seeing the results, right? Something that I say is do less better, which is the same kind of thing. Because I probably did the opposite to you. I think I would be a lot further ahead today had I not have been splitting my focus. I was that person, but this will work and this will work, and I like that and I enjoy that and I want to do that. And I don't want to niche down and all these kind of things. And I know for a fact that has been one of the biggest reasons I'm not further ahead than I are today, which is why I say to people now, please just take my experience and trust me, do less, better, at a higher level, become outstanding, become obsessed with it. What if they go through which I think is absolutely brilliant, by the way. So thank you for sharing that model, I guess, to be able to identify the one. What if all the answers are coming much of a muchness, it's all similar? What would you say to help them then go, but you've still got to choose one? How would they get there?
I think that people give you surface level answers,
right?
And when pressed, you can get to the depths of it. And this is what a great coach is going to press you.
Yeah,
a great mentor is going to press you. And really, you go, I am 10 because I love property. And are you sure?
Level, do
you go to bed thinking about property? Do you get up looking at property?
Well, no, not.
Do you know? Like, so how obsessed are you about it? And they're like, well,
maybe it's a 4.
You're telling me 10, because you think that it's easier.
Right. Yeah,
that's the truth.
They're going for the easy option because some guru said this is an easy way to make passive income.
Yeah, and because Sally's doing it and she's doing well.
Yeah,
but really, you
bloody Sally.
Yeah,
yeah. Let's talk about events then, because 30 events a month, Jesus. Like, we actually were having a conversation last night, Helen and I, at my business success school, about maybe not doing events because we found that they take so much time, energy, resource, and it's the least profitable thing in our business currently. Yep. You've done the polar opposite. You've just killed it in events. So what's some of the advice in the do's and don'ts, if somebody's listening like myself that's thinking about putting on events, how to not just do the event well, but make them profitable and sustainable and to be able to build like you have?
Yeah, so I'll answer that, but we'll go here and then I'll go there. Right,
which is typical entrepreneur style.
Right, no, because I know many people that are very successful that don't do events in this industry. Now, the way I see an event, and I think, first of all, is what's the perception of an event for me? Perception of an event for me is an outstanding experience for the client that is a vehicle for sales for the business.
Right.
That's what I see an event as.
Got it.
So I want to give an outstanding experience for every person that steps in that room, but I want it to be a conversion vehicle for the business to get people to move forward and do more with us. So every time we run an event, they're the objectives that are in mind. Are we putting on an outstanding, organised experience that people absolutely love, that motivates them and inspires them to move forward with us into the next stage?
So part of that is the profit is not about the standalone profit on the event. It's about then where they go next and then the other way they work with you, right?
Yeah, I think that for sure, business, which brings you into almost a business model conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because the business, my business model is very simple, okay? And one of, again, myself, big student of coaching and mentoring. One of my mentors, Sarah, always said, Adam, a great business is simple. A great business is replicable, repeatable, and consistent. That's a great business. And if you can make your business simple, replicable, repeatable, and consistent, you're going to crush it. Because all you have to do is do the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Right?
Tried and tested. We know it works.
Exactly, right? So for us, that is events. But it could be online events and it could be in-person events. It doesn't necessarily have to be an event that you run in person. So online events have significantly lower operational costs, but they also have a significantly lower conversion rate because of the touch and the feel and the ability to be able to influence the person that you're speaking to, and the lack of control. Because, you know, someone's making their coffee, they're having dinner, they're talking to their kids.
Different experience, isn't it?
Mute. So it's completely different. But when you are in an immersive event, an in-person event, you have a captive audience with in the right way, captive, but you have an audience that is with you, that you have their attention for a sustained period of time. And when you consider attention spans and attention levels now that people have in business, is even you look on Instagram, it's designed to steal your attention. You know, 7 seconds at a time, just steal another 7 seconds, just get you hooked. So actually imagine having someone for 9 hours or 8 hours in a room, just listening to what you got to say. You just literally have a real strong ability to be able to present to them, build a relationship with them, and that's how we would see an event as a conversion mechanism. Now, our business model is we run a free event. We run free events all over the country. We run events everywhere. Of the free events we have running, we have at least 15 free events, sometimes 20 free events running on a monthly basis in different cities in the UK. All over the UK, we've run them in America as well, we've run them in Europe, tested all over the world. And we run these events consistently every single month. People come to these events, on average about 100 business owners per month come to the events. We build a relationship with 100 business owners virtually every single day. We make an offer, and of the offer, 30 of those business owners each day come on to our programs, meaning that we acquire 360 front-end clients per month, right? Wow. So those 360 front-end clients per month then come and spend another 3 days with us at our training centre, and we build a relationship with them. And the ones that are ready for the next level, that are ready for coaching, that are ready for the systems, the processes, the help, the support, go on to do our coaching programs with us and stay with us for a long time, because we create amazing results for people. So that's the model. But we also can do those events online. We have an ability to be hybrid, so whether we do those in person, whether we do those online, and we have a mix of those. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but that's a great answer. Yeah, but that's what we do. What you do.
And it's almost like it's, in a way, your event is just your best marketing tool.
It's marketing. Our event is marketing and a conversion mechanism for us to be able to build long-term relationships with clients. And it's what I call, and those the people that were in our training, and we train them on this, is called what I call a demonstration of power. Funnily enough, obviously I saw Jason as I was coming in, who's a good pal of mine, known each other a long time and get on really well. And Jason's concept is, I'm sure you've heard all about this, but Jason always talks about having a ramp for people to be able to walk up. So rather than somebody have to put a backpack on and climb to the top of your offer, it's better to have a simple ramp for them to be able to walk up. Right? And that's what he says. So you have essentially low ticket to build through to your different programs, your different offers, right? For me, I don't even want to have a ramp. I want to get somebody to come and meet us, to spend time with us. I want to show them how incredible we are, what we do, and I want to add an immense amount of value to them, so they go, I need to work with these guys and girls because they're great at what they do. And then the more I do that, the more I give that demonstration of the power, the more my team, because I don't do them anymore personally, I train the team to do them, don't do any of those events. The more that we give that demonstration of power and build that relationship, the more clients we acquire, the more success stories we acquire. And that's the process. The point of the demo of power, just to hone in on that, because that's the point, especially for everyone that's listening, is how many people are you demonstrating to per month that you can help them change their results? Because that's the key number. If the answer to that is 10, then you might be getting 3 clients. If the answer to that is 1,000, then you're probably getting 300 clients. Right. So it's like the demo of power is a lever. If your business is a plane, We need to understand what are the levers that we can pull to get the plane to go up, and then our power is one big lever that you can pull.
And I also think thinking about it in those terms of it being numbers as well is really useful for people, because then, like you said, it being replicable, you then just increase the numbers of people that come in, you increase the numbers of people that buy. Adam, this has been brilliant. I just want to do some quick fire general life questions that I ask all guests to finish. So the first one is, what is some of the best advice that you've had and why?
I've had a lot of advice over the years, lots and lots of good advice. I think that if we're talking business, keeping it simple is one of the most important things. Having a simple, easy process. If we're talking about more life advice, it is committing to a constant and never-ending improvement. And becoming a better version of yourself every single day than you were the day before, which, by the way, is not always possible. And sometimes we drop the ball, and it's like going to the gym. Sometimes we're right on it, and sometimes we're a little bit off it.
But as long as you have too.
That's okay. You don't have to be, because I'm not like I'm not perfect. I'll never profess to be perfect. I'm not the because that's just not real. But what is real is I always aspiring to improve. Yeah.
Okay, flip side, some of the worst advice. Something that might have been well-meaning, but actually turned out to not be in reality.
I think that advice depends on timing, because some of the worst, some of the advice that helped me in the beginning, but is the worst advice as a bigger business, is to just work harder. Because just working harder, it kind of just drives you into the ground. But the problem is that, as I even say this, I'm just like, Adam told me not to work hard. No, I believe that you should work hard, right? And if you're at the beginning, you should work very hard, right?
Don't be so careful, or you can't win with this, Adam. You're gonna just
but I think that it's a case of, you got to work hard, but you got to work smart. And I remember just like, just work harder. And I sort of drove myself into the ground in the beginning, because I would rather you work on your skills. I would say work hard on your skills rather than just work hard.
I like it. And I actually reflecting on that, I had a mentor that it was just hustle, outwork, hustle. And I think, anyway. Okay, next one is a little bit more of a kind of a personal one, because I think a lot of the times we listen to podcasts like this and we hear from a guest who we put on a bit of a pedestal, because obviously they're on this show because they've achieved something great. And I think it's really important to remind everyone that we're still just human beings, no matter who we are, or whether we're on the podcast or not. So the question really is about, what are you currently struggling with right now? Is there something that is a challenge right now, and how are you working to overcome that?
Oh, that's a really good question. I do have, like, my mindset is very, very focused. I don't necessarily have a huge challenge that is ongoing. I do think when you prepare your mentality, when you get into like a strong mentality, every challenge you start to see them as something to strategize, to overcome, to enjoy,
like
rather
you go
than
to
dwell
solution
on.
straight away.
Yeah, so I'm very, very like that. But what I would say, because I don't want to lose the essence of the question, because I think it's a really good question, is that you're always having challenges. Everybody has challenges. Building a business, whether you've got a small business, big business, whatever it is, everybody has challenges. And I have challenges that at the moment. Okay, so now I think I've discovered one in my mind. But the biggest challenge that you have when you get bigger is people. Right. It is people. And actually, I can define that. I had a challenge recently where, as my business has exponentially grown, certainly over the past 3 to 4 years, some of the people that have been incredibly valuable to me, to the business, to our clients, are struggling to level up and to accept the new version of the business in terms of how it's grown. And I find that quite challenging, because you've got a lot of loyalty to people that have helped you, and I find that challenging, and I think that you always will find that challenging. That sometimes you can get frustrated because people just don't see it your way. Right. And I think as a CEO, you have a vision of where you're trying to go, and your job is to unify people, to get them to come on the vision with you and go on that journey.
And not everybody will.
No, and not
go
everybody
the full
will.
way, right?
And I find that challenging at times. I definitely find people challenging at times because of how driven I am and how focused I am. And sometimes
I bet they find you challenging though, right?
Oh yeah.
Works both ways.
They definitely do, right? That's it. So my answer would be people challenges. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Adam, if people are hearing about you for the first time, where can they go connect with you? And I know you've got a podcast as well, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so I think following me on Instagram or any of the socials is at Adam Stott Coach. And if they're a fan of business podcasts, I have a business podcast called Business Growth Secrets. I've had 450 episodes now. I've been running it for a long time. We've had very high profile people, dragons, I've had people like 50 Cent and John Travolta and Anthony Joshua and huge people on that podcast over a long period of time. And, it's been going for a long time. And every single week on a Thursday, we do masses of content. So if they want really practical, actionable business content, then that's a great place for them to go and check me out.
Brilliant. Well, if you have big guests, I'll look forward to being invited on it.
Yeah, no,
I'm joking. Adam, this has been brilliant. Final question.
I think it'd be great to have you on mine. We'll definitely do that, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'd love to. There we go. You've heard him here.
Yeah.
The final question just before we finish is, what is your personal definition of success?
Oh. Yeah, it's some good questions there, very good questions. I think for me it is just continual growth. I think that, continually growing. I think there is enjoying what you do and growing and having a good impact on other people would be my version of success.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
No worries, buddy. Thank you very much.